Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over the cordless drill and the cordless driver. Two tools that are maybe one of the first ones that you want to get and have some really versatile applications, and we're going to go through some of those. I'm going to cover some features of these guys and talk about some of the attachments, some of the bits, driver tips, things like that that'll make these a lot more useful, and it'll just be an overview of it to get us started, and we'll get into more specifics. In the next video I'll do some better examples of how to use these things, and hopefully that helps you get some good results out of them. Let's get started. Okay, let's break down the drill first. We've got trigger. This switch is forward, reverse. This one is gearing, so this is high speed, low speed. You can also control that speed because the trigger is a variable speed. You've got a clutch up here. The adjustments are, I'm going to try to get that in shot. That's hammer drill. So that's going to give it some impact if you're using this bit with a masonry bit. There's a drill bit setting. That's for straight drilling. That means it's just going to run when you pull the trigger. These settings, as you go down in number, are going to engage a clutch that stops the motor. If you're driving a screw, it'll stop it with a certain pressure on it or a certain torque. I just use the drill setting for the most part. It's my preference. We've got an LED light on it. There you go. Which is pretty handy, even in an emergency. If you're working in a closet or something, it's nice to just have this on you to be able to look for something really quick. We do have a spare handle that goes on this, so locks on that side. Now you got some extra grip in case you're using a bigger drill bit. The chuck on this is a hand tightened chuck. You can twist it, loosen it up. It's a 3-jawed chuck. You can see it get wider. It also has an arbor lock. So when I put a bit in this, I get it close, put the bit in there. I don't run this. I have my finger off the trigger. You can just tighten it. Because this locks, it won't turn. And if you run it and grab it at the same time, it can damage that arbor lock. So my preference is don't do that. Just do it by hand. Got battery, got a belt hook on it. Got a bit holder. These are pretty standard features on these drills. We also have some vents. When you look back here, there's an opening right there. And on the other side, that lets the tool breathe, keeps it cool. Try not to put your hand over that when you run it. That'll block the airflow. This one, pretty similar, smaller, lighter, different torque. This runs on an impact, so it'll be louder when you run it. This has a different chuck. Pull it out. That's the type of bit you're looking at. It's a hex head. It goes in that guy. Won't come out. It's got different settings. That's number 1. Number 2. Number 3. That's for roof metal, so soft start. Now, this one's a little better for driving. It won't twist back when you're driving the same way that the drill will, but you can drill with this. You can drive with this. Just depends on the application. We'll go through the bits right now and see what kind of bits you can run in this drill first. So, as you can see, I've got a paddle bit in it right now. These paddle bits, they've got a sharp edge on the outside that holds it centered, and then this edge chips. That's only for wood. We've got a twist bit. This one has what's called a bullet point, but they make them with angled points that are different degrees, split points. There are all kinds of different twist bits. These can be used for wood. These could be used for metal. They could be used for plastic and some other things, but these are the 2 main things I'm drilling most of the time. After you drill a hole with that, you can use this countersink, and that can put a tapered hole in there and make it so that it fits the tapered head of the screw. If I wanted this hole in this metal to be bigger, I could use this bit, which is a step bit. Each one is about a 1/16 bigger than the last, so as you go through the hole, you can drill it and it'll widen the hole as you go. This is also a twist bit. This is called a brad point bit. It's got a very sharp tip. It's got little spurs here. This is for cutting, not steel. This is for cutting wood. To put something like dowels in, where you want a very clean hole. You saw the paddle bits, different sizes. I typically only use these down to about a 1/2 inch. Everything below a 1/2 inch, I'd be using more of a twist bit probably. This is a Forstner bit. It's got a sharp point, sharp chippers, a sharp cutting on the outside edge, cutting tooth, and that makes a very cylindrical hole with a flat bottom on it. That's used for cabinet hinges a lot of times. Sometimes they'll have a little tip in here that's similar to the screw tip on this bit, and it'll pull the bit in. This one is not in good shape. This is a auger bit, and this is made for drilling. This is like a 1-inch bit. This will cut if it's sharp, and the wood chips will come up through these flutes, or I call it flutes. I'm not sure if that's correct, but it'll eject the debris out the back of the hole while you're drilling, and that's got a hex-shaped end on it, if you can see that. If I want to put a screw in and I want it to go into the wood and not split the wood out, I can use a countersink bit. This countersink has a taper right there that matches the screw, and that way you can pre-drill this hole, put this screw in until it's flush. If I go deeper and I go up to here, now I've made a hole where the screw goes in, but there's a hole above it, and there's a hole above it, and I can fill that hole with a plug cut with a plug cutter. And there are different styles of these. But if you drill this hole, a little plug comes out and it fits in the same opening that this drill bit makes. And then you sand it flush and you can't see the screw anymore. We got hole saws. That's a good matchup for your extra handle on the drill, because it's really, when the drill turns this way and this stops, it wants to kick back. So you can use this to drill holes in wood. This will drill holes in metal, because the teeth are harder. These little teeth, the little strip here is harder, and this will drill steel. It's not very easy, but it'll work. Then there are some finishing tools, finishing attachments that go with the drill. Things like a drum sander, sandpaper on the outside. After you drill a hole with this, then you can clean it out with the drum sander. We also have wire brush. That's one profile. There's another one to get into different spaces. This one's nylon. And those are some attachments that go with the drill that will allow you to make this tool very, very useful. When we get into the driver, this is what I carry around in my tool bags. I usually have it right on me. And this is a pretty good assortment of bits, and I'll try to show you what's what. So we've got a square drive, also called a Robertson drive. That's another square drive. I'll get these out of the way for now. I've got a Phillips number 1, number 2, number 3 Phillips. I've got Torx drives. This is a 40, 30, 25, 20, 15, and 10. And they are color coded. Black is always 30, green is always 25, purple, and so forth. These are nut drivers down here, 1/4 inch, 5/16, 3/8. That's a hex head driver. 2 of those are magnetic, so it actually helps keep that screw sort of stuck in there. This is a 3/8 inch socket drive. Those Torx drive right there, they're driving this kind of head. The Phillips bits are driving this guy, and I didn't have a square drive screw handy to show you, but it's a square. You might have seen one of those before. There's a little extension handle. Incidentally, hexagon. And if you've got a drill bit that's got any of the drill bits that have this end on them, which I think speed bore is one name. I don't know if that's a proprietary name for Irwin or one of those companies, but if you have one of these ends on it, it'll work in there, and you can actually drill with this. So you can do some crossover things. You can drill a little bit with this. You can drive with this. Sometimes I'll drive with this if I'm using a really big screw. Sometimes the drill does a little bit better job than this driver. Sometimes this one will stop and the drill will get it all the way on low gear. So anyway, 2 tools that you'll probably find tons of uses for. That's just an overview of what we've got. The next video is going to go through how you can use these and some tricks to make these things a little bit more useful. And thanks for joining me. Hope you can join us again soon.